The coffee had already gone cold by the time I finally accepted the truth. Every time the bell above the diner's front door chimed, my heart jumped with hope before sinking all over again. 45 minutes turned into an hour. The empty chair across from me somehow felt louder than the laughter filling the restaurant. But what happened next would change my life forever, because the person who walked toward my table wasn't my blind date. It was the waitress. She gently sat down, looked into my eyes with a sadness that made my stomach tighten, and quietly asked, "Can I tell you something?" In that single moment, I realized this wasn't just another embarrassing dating story. It was the beginning of something none of us could have imagined. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the incredible ways life surprises us, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more unforgettable stories. My name is Michael, and this happened in a small town outside Nashville, Tennessee. At 38, I had spent most of my adult life putting everyone else's needs ahead of my own. After serving as a paramedic for nearly 15 years, I had witnessed more heartbreak than most people see in a lifetime. I had held strangers' hands during their final moments, comforted terrified children after accidents, and driven home countless mornings wondering why some people got another chance while others didn't. Somewhere along the way, I forgot how to live for myself. My sister Sarah finally convinced me to try online dating. She insisted there were still good people looking for genuine connections. After weeks of hesitation, I matched with a woman named Rachel. She seemed thoughtful, kind, and surprisingly easy to talk to. After several days of messages, we agreed to meet at Lena's Diner on a rainy Thursday evening. I arrived 20 minutes early. I even bought a new shirt, something I hadn't done in years. I rehearsed conversations in my head, laughed nervously whenever the waitress refilled my coffee, and checked my phone far too many times. Rachel texted once saying she was running a little late, then nothing. After an hour, humiliation settled over me like a heavy blanket. I wondered if everyone in the diner knew I'd been stood up. I quietly asked for the check. That was when the waitress approached. Her name tag read Abigail. She hesitated before sitting down across from me. There was genuine concern in her eyes, not curiosity or pity. She explained that she had accidentally overheard my phone conversation with my sister earlier. She apologized for listening, but admitted something had been bothering her all evening. She said the woman I had been waiting for had actually come into the diner almost an hour earlier. My heart skipped. Abigail told me Rachel had walked inside, looked around, and immediately recognized me. But before she could reach my table, she noticed an elderly man collapse near the entrance. Without hesitation, I had rushed across the diner, performing CPR until the ambulance arrived. The entire restaurant watched as I worked desperately to keep the man alive. Rachel had quietly left before I ever noticed she had arrived. At first, I couldn't understand. Then Abigail continued. She had overheard Rachel speaking on her phone outside. Rachel wasn't upset because of me. She had left because watching someone fight for another person's life brought back painful memories of losing her own father after a heart attack. She had suffered a panic attack and simply couldn't stay. She had tried calling me afterward, but in the chaos, I had accidentally left my phone inside the ambulance when I accompanied the patient to the hospital. Suddenly, everything made sense. I wasn't rejected. I was simply caught in one of those impossible moments where life refuses to follow anyone's plans. Abigail smiled gently and handed me a folded napkin. Rachel had returned while I was gone and left her phone number along with a handwritten note. The note simply read, "You didn't know I was there, but I saw the kind of man you are. I'm sorry I couldn't stay. If you'll forgive me, I'd still love to meet you." I stared at those words longer than I cared to admit. For weeks I had convinced myself I wasn't worth loving anymore. Years of difficult work, failed relationships, and emotional exhaustion had built walls around my heart so high I barely remembered what hope felt like. One unexpected note changed everything. I called Rachel the next day. Our first real date happened exactly 1 week later at the same diner. This time there were no dramatic emergencies, no misunderstandings, and no expectations beyond getting to know each other. We talked for 4 hours. She shared stories about growing up in Kentucky, caring for her mother after losing her father, and learning that grief doesn't disappear, it simply teaches you how precious ordinary days truly are. I shared the moments from my career that still haunted me, the guilt I carried for lives I couldn't save, and the loneliness that quietly followed me home every night. Neither of us tried to fix the other, we simply listened. Months turned into years. Whenever life became difficult, we returned to that same diner. Abigail remained our favorite waitress. She eventually confessed she almost hadn't walked over to my table that night because she worried it wasn't her place. I often remind her that courage doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes courage is simply sitting beside someone who looks alone. 2 years later, Rachel and I invited Abigail to our wedding. She cried harder than anyone else. Standing there watching the ceremony, I realized something that every difficult chapter of my life had been trying to teach me. Not every unanswered expectation is a rejection. Sometimes what feels like the end of your story is actually protecting you from missing the beginning of a better one. If Rachel had arrived 5 minutes earlier, she never would have witnessed the person I truly was. If the elderly man hadn't collapsed, we might have spent the evening making polite conversation without ever discovering the values that mattered most. If Abigail had stayed silent, 2 lives might have continued believing they had missed their chance. Instead, one small act of compassion connected 3 strangers forever. Years later, the elderly man I helped save attended our daughter's first birthday party. Watching him laugh while holding balloons in the backyard reminded me that every decision, every delay, and every unexpected twist creates ripples we may never fully understand. Life rarely unfolds according to our schedules, it unfolds according to moments. Moments of courage, moments of kindness. Moments when ordinary people choose to care about someone else's pain. Those moments are the ones that quietly change everything. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes hope still exists. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling us about a moment when an unexpected act of kindness changed your life. Your story may become the encouragement someone else desperately needs. Special request: comment below with the words "Kindness changes everything" if you believe one small act of compassion can transform an entire life. As Rachel squeezed my hand that evening while we watched the sunset from our porch, I remembered the lonely man sitting beside an empty chair in that diner years before. He believed he had been forgotten. He believed no one was coming. But sometimes the greatest blessings don't arrive in the seat you've been saving. Sometimes they quietly walk over, sit beside you, and gently ask, "Can I tell you something?" And if you're willing to listen, they just might change your life forever.